The World Council of Churches was born in the post-war context of 1948, at a time when the world was searching for unity. The result of decades of discussions, dreams, and hopes, the World Council of Churches was created to promote church unity and a common witness to the world. 60 years later, the World Council of Churches continues as a growing fellowship of 349 churches from around the world, representing 550 million Christians. The basic message is the same, calling the churches toward Christian unity, a common witness, and Christ-like service to others. Throughout these years, the Council has been blessed by the dedicated leadership of its General Secretaries. From the beginning, each General Secretary has brought his own calling and unique vision to the Council. The first General Secretary, Willem Fisertuff of the Netherlands, came to ecumenical work by way of the Student Christian Movement and the World YMCA. He was elected in 1938 as General Secretary of the World Council of Churches in process of formation. During his tenure, the first 3 assemblies of the World Council were organized and convened in Amsterdam, Evanston, and New Delhi. Fisertuff defined the role of the WCC General Secretary. He also became a prominent voice for human rights, mediation in times of war and Cold War, justice for the oppressed, and the application of Christian values. Fisertuff oversaw the integration of the former International Missionary Council into the WCC, and he welcomed an ever-increasing number of churches into membership, especially churches of the Orthodox tradition and independent churches from the developing world. As his term drew to a close, he welcomed the new possibilities arising from the Second Vatican Council. Eugene Carson Blake came to office as the second General Secretary, having served as head of communion in one of the WCC's Presbyterian member churches in the United States. He was a founder of the Consultation on Church Union and had been president of his country's National Council of Churches. His involvement in the U.S. civil rights movement was well known. Blake's experience as an administrator strengthened the financial position of the Council. He was also instrumental in planning for the Fourth Assembly at Uppsala in 1968. Building on that assembly's condemnation of racial injustice, Blake pushed for the creation of a special fund and program to combat racism. Within the WCC itself, he encouraged the employment of staff from all geographical regions. Eugene Carson Blake greeted Paul VI in 1969 on the occasion of the first papal visit to the Geneva offices of the World Council of Churches. Philip Potter had been active in the Council since his days as a spokesman for youth. Ordained a Methodist pastor and evangelist in the West Indies, he served as Overseas Secretary for the Methodist Missionary Society. Having served as the director of the World Council's Commission on Mission and Evangelism, he succeeded Eugene Carson Blake as General Secretary and led the Council through its 5th and 6th assemblies in Nairobi and Vancouver. These assemblies were notable for vibrancy in common prayer and hymn singing. The Potter years were marked on the world stage by political tensions between North and South, East and West. The Council was active in movements struggling against apartheid in southern Africa and opposing the testing and proliferation of nuclear weapons. In the field of faith and order, the Council sought areas of consensus on the vexed topics of baptism, Eucharist, and ministry. In 1984, John Paul II made the second papal visit to the World Council of Churches. Emilio Castro, the fourth General Secretary, began his career as a Methodist pastor and professor of theology in Uruguay. Having served as Philip Potter's successor in the position of Director of World Mission and Evangelism, Castro's ministry as General Secretary reflected his passion for Christian outreach, his depth of feeling for the poor, his openness to liberation theology, and a deep appreciation of the many local contexts in which the gospel is to be encountered. Through Castro's stewardship, the process on justice, peace, and the integrity of creation crystallized and was affirmed at the Seventh Assembly in Canberra. As the Cold War drew to a close, JPIC provided a fresh approach to the demands of a new day. Conrad Riser, a Protestant theologian from Germany, became the fifth General Secretary in 1993. He led the member churches of the Council and ecumenical partners in a thorough reassessment of their common understanding and vision, or CUV. Together with the work of a special commission on Orthodox participation in the Council, the CUV process began to resolve causes of friction within the membership and reconceived the WCC as a dynamic fellowship of diverse churches whose relationships mature and deepen as a result of their life together. Conrad Riser's era represents a time of radical changes in the world. Among the opportunities and crises to which the WCC responded were the new openness between East and West, the fall of the apartheid regime in South Africa, the attempts of churches to find faithful ways to serve people touched by HIV and AIDS, and a response to the world-shaking acts of terrorism, as well as the invasion of Iraq and its consequences in the Middle East. Samuel Kobia, who succeeded Riser in January 2004, said of him, "It is daunting to step into a role so recently occupied by so capable and accomplished a leader." While these General Secretaries moved the Council through early growth, tumultuous times, and had significant impact on the ecumenical movement and the place of the World Council of Churches in today's world, they could not have done this without the dedication and support of their staff, of those who govern the work of the WCC, and the people who make up the member churches. The World Council of Churches is not one person, but many working in unity, seeking a common witness, and reflecting the love of Christ and the Church through service to a world in need of peace, justice, and hope.